Please rise and remove your hats or any headwear for the presentation of colors. Today's Color Guard event will be led by the Marianas High School Dolphin Battalion. Commanding and carrying the U.S. flag is Cadet Sergeant First Class Kidato Maria. Carrying the CNMI flag is Cadet Captain Gianan Ronet. The left rifle guard is Cadet Second Lieutenant Rivera Dino. And the right rifle guard is Cadet Captain Pascual Raven. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Gitalugyan tasi naigay gitanoho Adonai sempre usaga malago taon dia bayuhono bayu foto hatalu di sinya ho pudingo utano mi veces almos who saluda ho God born islas Marianas Hutunaho mil veces almos who saluda God born islas Marianas Satil matawa Pacifico Jailo falaweye Ihilaga e bueno se mueve y vuelve far away.
falbuban ay tidong aliw linggat chute faliw Marianas ay muereti sangras falbuban ay tidong aliw linggat chute faliw Marianas ay muereti.
Half a day, tiro, and good evening, distinguished guests, candidates for governor and lieutenant governor, community leaders, and to the people of the Northern Mariana Islands. On behalf of the Northern Marianas Descent Corporation, it is my distinct honor to welcome you to the 2026 CNMI Gubernatorial Forum and Debate. Tonight, we gather for more than a political event. We gather for an important conversation about our people, our rights, our lands, our culture, and our future. For generations, the people of the Northern Mariana Islands have carried the responsibility of protecting what was entrusted to us by those who came before us. Our founding fathers understood that land is more than property, culture is more than tradition, and leadership is more than holding public office. Each carries with it a responsibility to future generations. Tonight, we ask those seeking our Commonwealth's highest offices to speak directly to that responsibility. This event provides our gubernatorial candidates with an opportunity to share their positions and plans on issues that specifically affect the NMDs. It also provides our community an opportunity to listen, compare, reflect, and ultimately make informed decisions. NMDC does not stand here tonight for a political party or a particular candidate. We stand for the issues. We stand for meaningful dialogue, and above all, we stand for our people. To our candidates, thank you for accepting the responsibility of appearing before our community and engaging in this important conversation. To our sponsors, volunteers, partners, and everyone whose efforts made this event possible, we extend our deepest appreciation. Let tonight be remembered not just for the questions asked or the answers given, but for our commitment to come together. The voices and concerns of our people must continue to be part of the conversation about the future of our Commonwealth. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2026 Gubernatorial Forum and Debate.
Our moderator for this evening is a former member of the U.S. Congress and retired as the longest-serving president of the University of Guam. In his professional career, he has also served as a high school teacher, bilingual curriculum writer, school administrator, dean of the College of Education, and academic vice president. He is a distinguished scholar with many publications on education, regional political issues, indigenous concerns, sustainability, and cultural change. As University of Guam president, he successfully pursued National Science Foundation EPSCoR funding for the institution, created the Center for Island Sustainability, and began the School of Engineering. Early in his life, he was active in community and cultural issues as a community organizer on behalf of language preservation, environmental issues, and political development for Guam and Micronesia. He led international demonstrations, appeared before the United Nations on behalf of Guam as a non-self-governing territory, and was invited to participate in dozens of regional conferences by the East-West Center, South Pacific Commission, regional professional groups, and Pacific Island governments. He has served as chair of the Chamorro Language Commission and in a variety of Government of Guam advisory bodies and commissions. In Congress, he sponsored major legislation for Guam, played an active role in Department of Defense authorization bills, and was a forceful advocate for political development for insular areas. He also played a national leadership role in Asian Pacific American issues, especially in educational opportunities and legislation. He served as chair of the Congressional Asian Pacific Caucus and was the founding board chair of the Asian Pacific American Scholarship Fund, now known as APIA Scholars. He introduced the original legislation creating the Asian American, Native American, Pacific Islander Serving Institutions and co-founded the Asian Pacific American Institute for Congressional Studies. He also has a robust record of national public service. This includes service in the National Advisory Council on Bilingual Education, National Board of Education, Sciences, and the President's Advisory Commission on Asian American, Native Hawaiian Pacific Islanders. He also serves on the American Folklife Center Board of Trustees and the National Sea Grant Advisory Board. He is a native Chamorro from Guam. He graduated from JFK High School in Guam. He holds bachelor's and master's degrees in history from Cal State University, Los Angeles. He holds a doctoral degree from the University of Southern California. He is married to Dr. Narissa Britannia Underwood, who has served as superintendent of the Guam Department of Education and as senator in the Guam legislature. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our moderator, Dr. Robert Underwood.
Buenas noches. Hapade Tiro. I hope that recitation about my background didn't distract you from what we're here for. So what we're here for is to listen to these individuals who want to come before you, who present themselves before you, and I've known all of them in various roles, although I admit that this is the first time I've met Mr. Jones. I wondered, why I'm asked to be the moderator here. So I finally figured it out. I'm not an NMD. Maybe that's why I was invited, because I have no vested interest in anything that they advocate or state. So being that. The other reason is maybe more pertinent. I was high school classmates with Danny Kitagua. Maybe that's why I'm here. I don't know. But nevertheless, it is an honor and a privilege to be with you here this evening. I hope that it becomes a very fruitful, meaningful conversation. It has the first segment is more or less a kind of just a direct answer to questions which are on that bowl and which out right there in front of me. It's transparent, so I don't know which questions I'm going to pick out. And then the second section will be kind of a debate where they go back and forth based on various topics. I want to say that I really appreciate and I'm honored by this invitation. The Northern Marianas Descent Corporation is a nonpartisan organization. This forum is presented solely for educational purposes and certainly does not constitute an endorsement of any candidate or political party. I would like to review the rules that will govern our program. Each gubernatorial team will be provided equal speaking opportunities throughout the forum. There are time limits for all responses, rebuttals, and closing statements will be strictly enforced to ensure fairness. The questions, I kept asking about this. The questions have not been provided to any candidate in advance, although in general the topic must be clear to them. Candidates are expected to answer the question presented and remain on topic. Personal attacks, interruptions, profanity, and any conduct that disrupts the integrity of this event are prohibited. As your moderator, I'll remain impartial and neutral, and it's my responsibility to ensure that these rules are applied fairly and consistently throughout the evening. So I'm the moderator, so I want you guys to know that I'm the boss. So, pay attention. If don't get out of hand. Fuera de no, am ko na jo keni todo dos hamzo, the debidun respeta manamko. So either way, as a senior citizen or as a moderator, we're going to go ahead and proceed with this. The same thing for the audience. We appreciate your presence and respectfully ask for your cooperation. Please silence or turn off all mobile devices. Out of respect for all candidates, please withhold applause until the conclusion of the closing statements. And then you can cheer wildly for all you want. And this forum and debate is an exclusive event of the NMDC. Live streaming, audio or video recording is strictly prohibited. On behalf of the Northern Marianas Descent Corporation, thank you for your cooperation and respect for this democratic process and your commitment to a civil and meaningful exchange of ideas. Okay, so we're going to go to the questions, but before I do that, I know most of you know who these individuals are, but I'm going to formally introduce them to you. The gubernatorial team number 1 is former Governor Ralph De Leon Guerrero and Benjamin Mendiola Jones. A son of the CNMI, Ralph De Leon Guerrero Torres began his public service as a member of the CNMI House of Reps and later served in the CNMI Senate, where he rose to become president of the Senate. He went on to serve as Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth before becoming governor in December 2015. He was subsequently elected by the people of the CNMI to serve a full term as governor. During his years in public service, he helped lead the Commonwealth through periods of economic growth, as well as some of the most difficult challenges in our island's modern history, including devastating typhoons, major recovery efforts, and the COVID-19 pandemic. Throughout his career, he has worked on issues involving economic development, tourism, infrastructure, federal relations, disaster recovery, healthcare, education, and the preservation of the Commonwealth's unique political and cultural rights. Tonight, he comes before the people of the Northern Mariana Islands, once again as a candidate for governor, asking for the opportunity to serve and lead the Commonwealth into its next chapter. Just hold on and I'll introduce, and then you can clap for both of them at the same time. Okay. Our next candidate has devoted most of his professional life to educating, mentoring, and developing the Commonwealth's young people. Benjamin Mendiola Jones Jr. is a lifelong resident of Saipan, an educator, school administrator, community leader, an advocate for the people of the Northern Mariana Islands. A graduate of Cacman High School, where he was class valedictorian, Benjamin continued his education at Northern Marianas College and UH at Manoa, earning degrees in education and adapted physical education. After completing his studies, he returned home to serve the community that raised him. He began his career as a teacher in Hopwood, later served as vice principal of Cacman, and today serves as principal of Cacman High School. For more than 15 years, Benjamin has worked in education, administration, youth development, and community service. He's also served as an adjunct instructor at Northern Marianas College and has been involved in mentoring young people, athletics, charitable activities, and programs supporting families and the community. As an educator and school leader, he has helped guide students and staff through some of the Commonwealth's most difficult periods, including major typhoons and disaster recovery while continuing to emphasize education, accountability, resilience, and service. Tonight, Benjamin brings a different perspective to public service, a perspective shaped not by years in elected office, but by years working directly with students, parents, teachers, families, and members of our community. He is now seeking the opportunity to serve the people of the Commonwealth as its next Lieutenant Governor. Ladies and gentlemen, the gubernatorial team of Ralph Torres and Benjamin Jones. Gubernatorial team number 2, Dr. Lawrence Ferran Camacho is the son of the late Luis Blanco Camacho and the former Ursula Torres Ferran. He was born and raised on Saipan and attended the CNMI public school system. His deep-rooted passion is preparing the CNMI through education. Accordingly, as former Commissioner of Education and State Superintendent of the public school system, he has shaped public education, responsible for 20 schools and 10 Head Start centers, serving over 9,000 students across 3 separate islands. He built the framework and structure for career, college, and life readiness pathways. Caring for the youth of the CNMI, Dr. Camacho advocated for effective programs that impacted every child at the local and national level. He also served as Dean of Enrollment Management and Student Success at the University of Guam, where he was also the Executive Director of the AmeriCorps Volunteer Center. He is currently an adjunct professor for the University of Guam's Master of Public Administration. Exemplifying the value of education through hard work, he holds a Doctor of Education degree from Drexel University, a master's degree in leadership and liberal studies from Duquesne, a master's degree in higher ed from University of Illinois, a master's degree in military history from U.S. Army and Command and General Staff College, a bachelor's degree in public administration from the University of Guam. His military career opened doors for him to demonstrate the essence of service and sacrifice. Dr. Camacho is a retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel with over 21 years of service. His military achievements depict the vast sacrifice he upheld as a leader, defending the freedom we enjoy today and qualifying him to protect the CNMI's interests in national strategic affairs. He's a wartime veteran who fought in Operation Iraqi Freedom, once in 2004 and a second combat tour in 2009 to 2010. During both deployments, he spearheaded the establishment of new government structures in his sector out of western Baghdad. Dr. Camacho is a tested and proven leader, a wartime veteran, a cattle rancher, a church leader, an educator, and passionate advocate for the preservation of the indigenous Chamorro and Carolinian heritage and cultures. He says he's a good husband to his high school sweetheart, the former Miss Gina De Leon Guerrero Duenas, and proud father of 3 kids, Vince Louis, Army veteran, Gregory Jacob, Army veteran, and Tamara Ann, registered nurse. He's also a proud grandpa to Everly Grace and Sienna Rose Camacho. Let me introduce his running mate, Senator Edith De Leon Guerrero. She is the first CNMI legislature female Senate president for 2023 to 2024. She was first elected senator for the 3rd senatorial district for a time period from 2021 to 2024. She was appointed and served as the CNMI Secretary of Labor in December 2013 and chaired the Governor's Workforce Task Force. Previously, she held the position of the WIA Executive Director till she became Secretary of Labor. Ms. De Leon Guerrero's background consists of years of administrative and management positions. She is a member of the MPLT Board of Trustees, has numerous years working in the banking industry, has expansive knowledge of Federal Grants Management and Administration. Aside from her impressive career and educational background, she shares that her journey started growing up with her grandmother, Carmen, who encouraged her to be hungry for knowledge and never depend on anyone else to provide for your needs. And so with that teaching, she continued to seek information and knowledge to grow intellectually, be self-sufficient, and be surrounded with like-minded individuals. She shares that her drive is never about her. She grew up in a political family. Her mother's brother was a former CNMI governor and the first Senate president, and she's had a front row to witnessing her uncle's public service and how his own mother, the woman who raised her, would say, "The work of public service is too good and right for the people." Ladies and gentlemen, gubernatorial team number 2, Dr. Lawrence Camacho and Edith de Leon Guerrero. Okay, gubernatorial team number 3, present to you Blas Jonathan, better known as BJ Tenorio Atao, is a proven public servant, experienced legislator, and community leader with extensive experience in both the private and public sectors. Born and raised in Navy Hill, BJ is the son of former legislator Jesus Torres Atao and Ramona Tenorio Atao. From an early age, he learned the importance of service, community, and giving back to the people of the CNMI. He earned a bachelor's degree in business management from Boise State University. After returning to Saipan in 2002, he began his professional career in the private sector, working in the corporate affairs office of one of the CNMI's largest companies. He brought that private sector experience into government when he began serving as a legislative aide. Through his service from the 14th through the 18th legislature, he developed extensive institutional knowledge of the CNMI government and legislative process. In 2015, he was elected as Precinct 3 representative to the 19th legislature. Since then, he has served in key leadership positions, including Speaker of the House, Vice Speaker of the House, and Chairman of the House Impeachment Committee. As Speaker, he was unanimously elected by members of both political parties, testimony to his strength as a leader. As Chairman of the Impeachment Committee, he led the legislature through a historic vote to impeach the sitting governor. BJ's public service has been shaped by a commitment to responsible budgeting, government accountability, transparency, and addressing corruption. He believes effective leadership requires fiscal responsibility, integrity, and a willingness to make difficult decisions in the public interest. Outside of public office, BJ is a devoted father and family man. He enjoys football, baseball, and spending time with his parents, his young daughter Brea, and his partner Zeni Palacios Mafnas. As a candidate for governor, BJ's vision is centered on strengthening the CNMI for all generations. He seeks to bridge the gap between Manamco and Manhobin and build a commonwealth where every generation has the opportunity to thrive and enjoy a higher standard of living. BJ is running for governor under the independent ticket along with his candidate for lieutenant governor, Edmund Joseph Sablan Vizagomez, who I will now introduce to you. Edmund Joseph Sablan Vizagomez is a former educator, legislator, and longtime public servant with more than 2 decades of experience serving the people of the Northern Marianas. Raised in Salanquiza, Edmund is the son of Joseph Chong Vizagomez and Emma Sablan Vizagomez. He earned a bachelor's degree in psychology from the University of Hawaii at Hilo, began his career in public service as an elementary school teacher with the CNMI in 2004. In 2006, he continued his public service with the CNMI Department of Commerce. He was first elected to the CNMI legislature in 2010 and has served continuously then. During his legislative career, he has served as minority leader and chaired several committees with oversight of commerce, tourism, judicial, and government operations. He currently serves as Speaker of the House. Throughout his career, Edmund has emphasized steady and principled leadership, collaboration across political lines, accountability, and a commitment to the people of the CNMI. He believes in responsible government that listens to its community, addresses the needs of its people, and works to create greater opportunities for the future. Outside of public office, Edmund is a devoted partner to Jolene Demapan and a proud father to Gino, Jaden, and Emily. He enjoys spending time with family and friends and remains deeply connected to the community he has served throughout his career. He is running for Lieutenant Governor under the independent ticket, and I present to you BJ Attal and Edmund Villagomez. Now, I know you won't believe it, but we're ahead of schedule, according to this plan. So now we're going to answer questions. So each team, there will be approximately 9 moderated questions. Each gubernatorial will receive allotted time of 90 seconds to answer each question. And, we'll go according to the order established by the draw. Team number 1, then team number 2, team number 3. Then the question goes to the team, and it's up to the team to respond together or split their time or have only one person. It's up to them. Okay? Claro?
I think we missed the opening statements for each group.
Okay. I guess we're not ahead of schedule. All right. We have to give each gubernatorial team time for their opening statement, and we'll start with team number 1.
Sound check. Half a day, Tito, and good evening. Americans, we are Americans, and we are proud Americans, but we are different Americans. And we are different because we own the land that's underneath our feet. We are different because our founding fathers locked in that promise in the covenant. We are different because we are NMDs, and we have the duty to protect our land. But because we are different, we have a different responsibility. We have the responsibility to take care of our people. But there's a difference when our people are leaving for better opportunities and when our people are leaving when there are no opportunities. There's a difference when our corpus is not being used efficiently and when our corpus is being used to directly benefit you, the NMDs. And there's a difference in leadership. Leaders who talk about action and leaders who are hungry about action. We're hungry. Me and Ralph are hungry to serve you. We're hungry to lead you. But here's the thing, our economy is at a crisis. Our founding fathers made that promise that our people will own the land, control our land, because if it's not in the hands of NMDs, then what is it for? We're not just gonna keep living in the land and all we're doing is surviving. That's sad. We need to start thriving in our land. Our mission is very simple. 1, protect our land. Number 2 is grow our economy. And this is why I ask you to join us in the journey to revive the CNMI. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Okay, we'll go to gubernatorial team number 2.
Half a day, Dantirawami. I am Lawrence Ferran Camacho, running for governor alongside my running mate, Ms. Edith De Leon Guerrero, for lieutenant governor. Our values reflect the heritage of our indigenous culture, where people and families are the center of gravity in the way we live, work, operate, and play, as well as celebrate. Our Commonwealth today continues to be a place where dreams and hopes for a better life become the essence of these values and principles, especially for the descendants of the Northern Marianas. Our covenant and the Sinai Constitution continue to be the greatest document ever written to promote and advance the lives of our people. They are designed to protect our lands and natural resources, a gift and inheritance from our ancestors. However, our Sinai is now plagued by years of corrupt activities and mismanagement of public goods. And unfortunately, this paved the way for the current downturn of our economy, all because of bad leadership and lack of vision. Our economic conditions again continue to pressure us to be vulnerable and susceptible to instant gratification and artificial economic expectation. Edith and I are committed to implementing the plans that we have to protect our lands and resources through various programs and opportunities. Our platform is realistic. It is achievable. We pledge to steer the direction of our government back to its rightful place, and that is back to the people where it belongs. We will bring people together so we can implement our plans to solve problems dealing with the economy, infrastructure, healthcare, retirement, education, our environment, and its natural resources. And more importantly, to bring hope and lift the spirits of our people. Tonight, we look forward to a healthy debate and talk about how Article 11 and Article 12 impact the decisions for Luta, Saipan, Tinian, and the rest of our beautiful islands to the north.
Thank you very much, Dr. Camacho. Now we'll go to team number 3.
Test. Howfade, Tito, and good evening, everyone here tonight. I am Blas Jonathan BJ Tenorio Ato, and I'm honored to be here with my running mate, Edmund Joseph Sablon Villagomez. Tonight is not just about candidates. It's about the future of the Sinai and the people we are asking to trust us with its leadership. Edmund and I are running because we believe our islands deserve leadership that listens, tells the truth, takes responsibility, and get things done. We will always be honest with the challenges we face and committed to finding solutions. Because at the end of the day, this campaign is about one simple promise: a government that works for everyone. With Edmund and I, we will listen. Every single person will have a seat at the table. Every single person will have a voice for all. We are number 1 on the ballot, and we humbly ask for your vote of confidence, and together we can steer this ship the right way. Si Diyos masi, gilisao, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to go now to the first questions. There's a number of questions here, and I'll pick one at random. And the winner is... And the context for this question is to ensure that Northern Marianas descent beneficiaries receive tangible and meaningful benefits from the Marianas Public Land Trust. So the question is, NMDs are the beneficiaries of the Marianas Public Land Trust, yet many NMD families have seen limited direct financial benefit from the Trust's investment earnings. Beyond existing programs such as low-interest home loans, what is one practical and legally achievable initiative that your administration would champion to provide NMD beneficiaries with more tangible and direct economic benefits from the Trust while preserving its assets for future generations? And we'll go in this order, 1 to 3, and the next question will start with Team 2. So go ahead, you're on Team 1.
Thank you very much, Dr. Underwood. The basis and the purpose of our corpus is to build upon its principle. Right now, that principle is slowly growing. We need to grow it at a faster rate. And when it does, and when our economy starts coming back, we can invest more into that. And we can utilize the interest in that principle to utilize it for our people, directly for our NMDs. And one thing we want to avoid depleting it. There are going to be moments in our time where we have to use it for necessary operational services. But for now, what we need to focus on is using it as a share. That every NMD individual can use it as a share, that they can use as collateral when they go to the banks and use it to come and talk about affording homes, medical, and things that they can need for personal benefits. But at the end of the day, we do not want to deplete that principle because we need to save it for future generations.
One thing that we would like to do is to stop the transfer from MPLT to the government. And once we start holding those interests, obviously there are going to be some laws that needs to be changed, but ultimate goal is continue to grow that interest and to give benefits to our NMD, not just housing, perhaps even medical insurance, life insurance, and even housing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, team number 2.
The question asks for practical solutions and ways to have MPLT, the trust, benefit back to the people. From what I understand, that is essentially the work of the trusts, to invest the money but then bring back tangible benefits. How about revitalize? We have a plan to revitalize Lower Base, right? There's a lot of public lands there that are falling apart right now with the buildings being struck by storms and all the ways that the businesses have left. How about we use and revitalize that by encouraging NMDs to come to the table? We have a program for them to apply. We get them to be business owners and entrepreneurs so we can get funding for them that benefits them out of the MPOT Trust so that we can revitalize Lower Base. How about we do that for our people and let our people be the businesses that we want instead of expecting everybody else to come in from the outside? Let's grow the businesses out of our own people. Northern Marianas descendants would benefit from that. They'll benefit from the land. They'll benefit from the funding out of the trust funds. That is an example of a good program that we continue to envision, and we will have that implemented along the way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that answer, Dr. Camacho. Team number 3. You can't use their time. Okay. There we go.
Thank you. First and foremost, our founding fathers, when they negotiate the covenant, mentioned that there's 25 years, the opportunity 25 years to change the language of the Constitution. It never said anything that there's a direct interest earned to our people in the Sinamay. The interest earned by the investments by MPLT has been going to the government, and it has serviced not just people of Northern Marianas descent, but every single individual that calls a Sinamay home. Over $86 million of interest have been used in the last 40 plus years into the government, into government service. Governor Torres was under his administration. He says that he wants to keep the money, keep the interest with MPLT. Why didn't he just take the interest and directly invest it into the Indigenous Affairs Office and the Caribbean Affairs Office? That's direct investment into our indigenous people. But we gotta remember that in order for these monies to be distributed equally to our people, we need to amend the Constitution. And the Constitution should be, as amended, pushed by the public, make it a popular initiative so that it's available to everybody and it's not a legislative initiative and becomes a political mess. Our people deserve that and they should decide that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gubernatorial Team 3. So for this question, we'll start with team number 2. And let me read the question. And the context for this question pertains to protecting the integrity, security, and legal credibility of the Northern Marianas Descent Registry. The question is, the Northern Marianas Descent Registry, of which I'm not a member, plays an important role in documenting and verifying NMD status and safeguarding rights associated with that status. Do you have what specific financial, legal, or administrative measures would your administration implement to ensure that the entity responsible for maintaining the registry has the resources and authority necessary to modernize and secure its records, strengthen verification procedures, prevent fraudulent claims and data breaches, and defend the integrity of the registry against future legal challenges? So, couple.
Currently, as we speak, that particular responsibility is housed within the St. Amai's Election Commission office. While I was a sitting senator, I did inquire about the number of registrants that are considered NMDs. At the last time I checked, I believe they registered about 8,000 individuals. That is very key and essential for us to understand exactly what is the number of our population that are considered NMDs. And mind you, that the NMD is a political definition, and it is for those people that were here during 1950 and before the termination of the trusteeship agreement. Those are who we consider NMDs. It is not an ethnic definition, but a political definition. At one point in time, we were under the trust territory management, and then when it severed the relationship throughout Micronesia, that is when we were politically defined as NMDs from 1950 moving forward towards the end of the trusteeship agreement. So that particular information, again, is housed under the Board of Elections office, and as we speak today, I believe there are still registering individuals and giving out cards that are considered NMDs.
Thank you for that answer. Team number 3.
Former Senate President is absolutely right. During the 12th legislature, then Senator Tomas Villagomez introduced legislation that made sure that we had a register of NMDs, and it is the responsibility of the Election Commission. In addition to that, they were also extending it out to the respective mayor's offices so that they can register people of Northern Marianas descent. But we gotta be clear that there's 2 amendments that went into effectuate after the 12th legislature. There's a 16th legislature initiative that removed the adoption of all adoptions to be considered NMDs, and then the blot quantum by the late Vice Speaker Felicidad Ogomoro. So I believe that during our administration, we want to make sure that those are listed in to date, and make sure that those individuals that were adopted after the 16th legislature initiative being ratified by the people, that those numbers are taken into consideration and are also filled in making sure that in the future that these individuals have the opportunity to vote on NMD issues. But again, we gotta make sure that everybody knows Article 15 of the U.S. Constitution under the Davis case says every single person that's a U.S. citizen able to vote will vote on any amendments.
Okay, thank you, team number 3. Team number 1, the same question relative to the beneficiary registry.
I do understand that the registration falls under the Election Commission, but I believe that it's also important that we tie this in with public land and work with public MPLT trusts in order for us to really evaluate and give opportunities for NMD. We need to understand where the registration come from, and so that we have the numbers of NMDs so the MPLT can give funding for appropriate NMDs. We need to use funding from DPL to embrace the Board of Election so that there's a process, a thorough process on those that either 1950s, so forth. But it is important to give additional revenue in public land and embrace on the Northern Marianas descent.
And just to add on, one thing that we can always do is we need to reevaluate how this thing is organized. When we look at our registry, there are going to be places and spots where we can improve on in regards to efficiency and making sure that it's managed appropriately. That way we can identify the people that are on the registry working alongside with DPL.
Okay, thank you, team number 1. Okay, gonna pull out another question. The context for this is ensuring that NMD families have reliable access to quality health care and can remain healthy and secure in their home islands. So the exact question is, CHCC continues to face funding challenges, shortages, and retention difficulties among healthcare professionals and limited specialized services that often require NMD families and perhaps others to seek costly off-island care. What specific policies will your administration implement to strengthen and sustain healthcare services in the CNMI, and how will you ensure that NMD families, particularly elders, children, and residents of Tinian and Luta, have reliable access to quality medical and specialized care within their own home islands? And we'll start with gubernatorial team number 3.
So if you have to worry about taking a parent to dialysis 3 days a week, or taking another parent to cancer treatment, the one thing that's guaranteed is you don't want to be there. You don't want to be in their seats. You want to be healthier. Under our administration, we will service not just people of NMDs, but everybody that calls the CNMI home. We need to educate our people. We need to invest in mobile clinics, get the mobile clinics into the villages so there's opportunities for people to get seen. If it's not on a monthly basis, maybe every other month. At the very least, to get their blood pressure checked, their sugar levels checked, and those other, it's gonna be cheaper to educate than for them to be treated. The hospital has done a great job in providing services. They've gone professional doctors specific to fields of cancer, heart, and other types of specialties. That services every single individual here in the CNMI, including NMDs. So if we invest in educating our people and making sure at the very least that they get their checks within their villages and their homes, it wouldn't be as costly to take care of them in the hospital. The ER is more expensive than getting checked at home and making sure that your medical needs are taken care of. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, team number 3. Team number 1, you're up next.
I'm glad that Congressman BJ said about education. How do you say education when you cut education? The current education today, they're not going to school every Monday. And I wonder what the budget is for education. I hear it's 22 million. Panelos, maladata na clarus tigi. Nothing moves in the CNMI without economy. It's nothing. Yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna promote this. With what? If there's anybody who knows how to bring economy, I know how to bring the economy. We've never had this kind of issues. We have issues, but we've never seen this kind of issues. So I'm glad that Congressman BJ talked about education, and I hope that this coming budget, he actually put education first, because that's what we're gonna do. And how you do it? Daging mga na estudantes and student medical, our students, our kids are our priority. When PSS budget comes in, you take that budget and you put it here. Then we fight for everything else. That's how you build your education. That's how you build a better health system. That's how you do it. So that's what my partner and I would do. We'll priority education because education it would help every aspect from business to health to everything else.
Thank you for that, team number one. Team number two.
Yes, question talks about how we can use some of these benefits that we're getting out of the funds, out of the trusts. Unfortunately, we've had many opportunities to fix healthcare, but nevertheless, we are here at this point, not looking backwards, looking forward. So what we'll do is we'll work with the trusts to identify those funds and set aside and have law written so that that fund can then negotiate with an insurance company, health insurance company, that is specifically designed for helping and benefiting the Northern Marianas descendants. Just the way I described about lower base and providing economic opportunity for entrepreneurship, we got to start tapping into. One thing we don't want to do, though, is touch the corpus, but we can touch the interest and make sure that the interest is going back to the community benefits of the Northern Marianas descents.
I do want to add on to this conversation because when I was a sitting senator, I introduced Senate Legislative Initiative 2301. It is to amend Article 11, Section 6D of the Covenant, and that particular section talks about the trust monies after its expenses moving over to the general fund. We talk about the needs of NMD, we talk about medical referral, we talk about scholarship, and we talk about why is the trust not benefiting solely NMDs who are the beneficiaries of the trust, to include those from public lands revenues. We need to make these fundamental changes. Unfortunately, leadership on the Hill does not have the energy to do that, so we have to do popular initiative, the people.
Thank you. Thank you, team number two. Okay, we'll go back to the order that starting with team number one for this next question. The context for this question is positioning Chamorro and Carolinian culture as a cornerstone of tourism across the Commonwealth of the Northern Marianas. So, the specific question is, as global travelers increasingly seek authentic cultural experiences, what specific strategies will your administration implement to make Chamorro and Carolinian heritage, traditions, language, arts, and history a central part of the CNMI's tourism identity and economic development across Saipan, Tinian, and Luta?
One thing I admire about living in Hawaii for 6 years was one special moment. It's when I went to the Polynesian Cultural Center. And I look back and I said, man, why can't we in the CNMI have the Chamorro Carolinian Cultural Center? And I was talking to my partner. It just so happens that there is funding that we can use. We can use that in the MPLT. Build a Micronesian or Chamorro Carolinian Cultural Center, but let's take it back a little bit further. I'm the educator here, and that's something that I value a lot. I am a failed product of somebody who doesn't speak the language. And I feel like I owe it to our people, our kids. If we can start in the education system, we got to understand, when kids are at the age of 3 to 5 years old, that is the prime time to introduce the language and expose them to the language and all the practices that we have in our culture, and then continue that on. And then that's when you can see it carried over to the cultural center.
Thank you, partner. And even if you say you're failed, it's what we do after. That's what we need to do. So back again to culture. I built the canoe house, understanding before we move forward, we need to know our past. Chamorro out of San Diego, Balboa Park. That is an opportunity for NMD to call home in the States. I have $12 million granted to build the cultural center. $12 million.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for that answer.
I think the question
Gubernatorial
begs,
team, go ahead,
the
number
question
two.
begs for any plans or initiatives that our administration could have, and I'm always thinking about utilizing what is already here and innovatively coming up with creative ways to ensure that that is benefiting our people. There's land up in Marpi called the Marianas Resort that is sitting there under the management of the public lands. They're spending money cutting the grass and trying to maintain that. There's failed initiative that happened years ago, so just recently, a few years ago, that allowed us to be in this situation. How about we use that for what was alluded to earlier, for a Micronesian cultural center? What about a Marianas and a Chamorro Carolinian cultural center, utilizing the land that's already there by tapping into MPLT's money so that we can get that going? How about we use all those little huts that are there to encourage people to come that are craftsmen and utilize that so we can then revitalize that segment of our community that's just sitting there not doing anything. That is our intention, we got to go back and do an inventory of all the public lands and make sure public lands is really providing that benefit and generating revenue so that the trust can invest back for the future of our islands. That is what we need to start doing. We need to start doing it now. We should have done it a long time ago, but here we are. Let's work on that. Practical solutions that are available for us right in front of our eyes. Thank you.
Thank you. Team number 3.
Thank you. And our culture, our language is very important. And one way to continue to promote it and to protect it is to keep it in the forefront. The arts, the language, the dances, etc. If we go out there and we promote it, we should deliver it 100% when our visitors come here. Earlier, we talked about the benefits of the trust. Through MPLT line of credit, the project was able to start the process in building a cultural center. We will look into policies and working with the trust to continue to make investments, not just for NMDs, but for everyone that calls the CNMI home and those that want to visit our home. Thank you.
And in addition to that, I'm glad Principal Ben Jones brought up the Polynesian Cultural Center. That was run by a private organization through our religious group. This is something that we can do through the investment with the EDA loan, EDA line of credit. We got up to $60 million on a line of credit of $14 million. So each project for the next 10 years will be addressed to that expenditure. Sorry, the time just stopped, so.
Timekeeper. There we go. Minister malalaki timekeeper in lugar di malalaki to.
So yes, the legislature have worked already and giving the opportunity to a line of credit, and former Governor Torres knows about that because we worked on that. We wanted to make sure that our culture is taken care of. In addition to that, as members of the legislature, we've introduced and drafted multiple legislations to make sure that new investments, new buildings here in the Commonwealth shall include our Chamorros, Carolinians, and others that call the CNMI home, because this is a nesting pot with multiple cultures. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Gubernatorial Team 3. Now, then the next question, we'll start with Gubernatorial Team 2. The question is, the context for this is to ensure that revenues derived from the NMD public lands provide meaningful and lasting benefits to people of Northern Marianas descent. Article 11 of the CNMI Constitution establishes that public lands are held for the benefit of people of Northern Marianas descent, while Article 11, Section 6 directs MPLT to transfer the remaining interest accrued on trust proceeds to the Commonwealth's general revenues. Given the covenant's underlying policy of protecting NMD land interests and promoting the economic advancement and self-sufficiency of NMDs, would your administration support a constitutional amendment dedicating all or a defined portion of MPLT distributable income specifically to long-term financial economic advancement of NMDs? If so, what safeguards would you support to ensure that these resources provide lasting benefits to present and future generations?
I'm going to say, thank you for that question. I'm going to say that not all, but some, and a dividend distribution must go to just benefiting the NMDs. Because the law says it goes to the general fund. We have to fix that. And the reason why I say that is because we have the responsibilities for today's beneficiaries and generations, and those generations that are not yet born. Today's, if it goes to the general fund, it goes to helping us, and that's good. It'll help us. But we have to put aside those for those generations that are not born. And I'll rely on 5 principles that I would look at, that we will look at. Number 1, MPLT is not an intergenerational trust. It is an intergenerational trust, not a government checking account. So we will rely on that principle. An intergenerational trust, not a government checking account. Number 2, protect the inheritance. Grow the inheritance and demonstrate the benefit. And number 3, we must serve today's generation without compromising tomorrow's generation. And number 4, transparency means beneficiaries should understand what is being managed on their behalf and what the results are for producing. And then number 5, most importantly, our challenge today is turning generational wealth into generational opportunity without destroying that wealth. We will rely on those principles when we're talking about that. Well, of course, we would help our current situation, but we need to also understand how that benefits future, and we need to protect that.
Thank you. Number 2, Team 2. Go Team 3, Congressman Atang.
As I mentioned earlier, to get the direct monies to NMDs without amending the Constitution is using the interest earned that's submitted to the administration for distribution. That can be separate and directed specifically to the Indigenous Affairs Office and the Carolinian Affairs Office. Outside of that, we must look at the Constitution and it must be amended. We cannot unilaterally do that as an administration to distribute funds to directly benefit Northern Marianas descent. MPOT is a public trust. It's not a private trust. This is not the Bishop Estate. The Bishop Estate can be discriminative because that's private money. MPOT, the public trust, cannot discriminate from anybody. That's why we're able to service the $29 million to the retirement, the U2 $15 million, the line of credit with EDA, the hospital $5 million, CUC's a Greco during the blackout periods. It's a public trust that services the public until there's a popular initiative that amends the Constitution to make sure that those funds goes directly to people of Northern Marianas descent. Edmund and I will follow the Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Team number 1.
We 100% support making sure that it's protected for NMDs. But we have to understand too that our MPLT was built for our people, and we got to protect it. The only reason why we're tapping into this right now is because our economy is down. If our economy was booming, if our economy was up again, we will be able to go into the general funds and start allocating to our very necessary services in providing for our people: public health, public safety, public education. These are things that can be supported if we had a strong economy. And that's why our goal, our first platform, our first pillar that we want to tackle is making sure that we bring tourism back, build upon that, get our general funds heightened up, and so we can always support and maintain these services. But we always have to understand there's also a constitutional process that we have to approach, so that if we have to tap into this, then we do it the right way so that it's transparent and that our people are aware of the decisions that we're making.
Thank you, partner. So the question is, would you support an initiative or constitutional change? Our answer is yes. MPLA money is NMD, that money transfers to MPLT, and then MPLT to the legislature. Would there be an amendment? I would support 100% on those interests going to only NMD.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, team number one. Okay, so for the next question, we'll start with team number three. And the question is, the question pertains again to tourism and NMD ownership and participation in marine tourism and concession opportunities. This has a kind of a specific element to it. NMD entrepreneurs often compete against larger, better capitalized outside businesses for valuable marine tourism opportunities. What specific executive policies or legislative measures would your administration pursue to promote NMD-owned businesses in marine sports, tourism, concessions, and other commercial activities involving public resources, including the Manyagaha Island concession, while ensuring that any preference is legally defensible, transparent, and consistent with applicable Commonwealth and federal law?
Thank you for that. First, we do have laws and regulations in regards to marine sports. In the western side of the island, and we need to make sure that BECQ or CRM under BECQ does its work in making sure that these businesses are people of U.S. citizens, not necessarily just Northern Marianas descent, that can run businesses on the shorelines. In regards to boating and commutes between Manyagaha and the island of Saipan, we live under the U.S. flag, and commerce is equal to every single individual that wants to be a part of a business. It's their risk as businessmen or women to get into any types of business. In regards to the concession stand on Manyagaha, people of Northern Marianas descent have every right to sit and utilize that concession stand. The concession holder cannot tell an NMD to leave the area because they have every right under that. Manyagaha is not directly under the Department of Public Lands. It's one of three separate islands, like Sagrian, and I believe it's Alamagan, that's separate and designated for people of Northern Marianas descent. Thank you.
Thank you for that answer, team number three. Team
We have
number
a
one.
lot of amazing local talent, entrepreneurs, small businesses that are willing, that want to invest their businesses in the marine sports or even in Manyagaha, for example. But the problem is, our NMDs tend to face is that they have small pockets. We have small pockets. We tend to give businesses to the people, automatically to people who have so much money. So it's hard for our NMDs to compete. So we need to understand if we can evaluate how our NMDs can take advantage of the MPLT, of the corpus, so they can take that share, leverage at the banks, see how they can build on capital, see how they can build on a workforce, see how they can build on getting items that's needed to promote their businesses. Because right now our NMDs are struggling to compete against the big guys out there who are dropping their business plans, their business proposals. So our NMDs need that support, and we can support them through our MPLT.
If our administration was given an opportunity, we will instruct DPL to set aside properties for NMD. And if somebody wants to challenge it, let's take it to court. It's public land. It's our NMD land. That's our take. Give them an opportunity, have a preference for NMD where there's a point system, but we should give NMD an opportunity and a preference because it is our land. Thank you.
Thank you, team number one. Team number two.
This is such a beautiful thing that we are talking about economic opportunities for NMDs. It is very clear in the Constitution that the public lands collectively belongs to NMDs, and that is administered under DPL. After its administration of revenues that it generates from public land leases, that money is transferred over to MPOT. After MPOT's expenses, it transfers over to the general fund, and that is fundamentally what needs to be changed also in the Constitution. It's a policy change that we need to do to ensure that we protect and allow the NMDs to participate in economic growth and development. How beautiful it is to see our people participate in economic development and growth, to make their own money, to become entrepreneurs of their own business, to generate their own income and not necessarily work for the public sector, but work for themselves and support their own families. How beautiful it is for them to be part of the tourism industry. Many years ago, a lot of our local people were participating in beachfront properties, having those beach activities. What is stopping us from doing that today? It's a fundamental policy that we need to change to ensure that we provide the opportunities, economically speaking, for our people to participate in this economic growth and development. There's nowhere in this world that nobody in their own rightful country does not participate in economic growth and development. We must do the same for NMDs.
Thank you very much. Okay, for the next question, we'll go back and go in order again, starting with team number 1. All of these questions seem focused on one topic. Addressing the high cost of living. While rising costs affect all CNMI residents, some argue that there's a disproportionate impact on NMD's families and households. With the CNMI heavily dependent on imported goods, rising costs for food, shipping, utilities, and other household necessities continue to place significant pressure on NMD families, particularly as local wages struggle to keep pace. What specific tax reforms or economic policies or executive initiatives will your administration pursue to reduce the essential cost of imported goods and provide meaningful long-term cost of living relief for NMD families across the CNMI?
Cost of living is higher in the CNMI. Importing. What we need to start transitioning into is focusing on exporting. If we can get more exports out, then we can get more money in. And one of the things that we want to pursue is, of course, everybody talks about agriculture, cattle raising. Yes, these are things that our NMDs are very valuable, are very into. So let's use our MPOT. Let's use these shares so that we can support our families, our local families, to create this capital that will not capital in regards to people, but also capital in regards to infrastructure. Let's harden this infrastructure so our farmers, our fishermen are able to function and are able to grow their industries through the storms that we continue to face. And when we are able to produce our own food here, it's going to be a little more affordable for our NMDs and everybody in the Commonwealth to benefit from.
One of it to support is that I built the Garpan Farmers Market. That's one way to help our local industry. The other ones I wanted to mention that on my high 2017, 2019, we employed 27,000 U.S. workers across the board on the workforce. There's more than 50% U.S. and NMD. When our economy grow, NMD are given the opportunity. There's no opportunity today. In fact, they're leaving the island. So build the economy.
Okay, thank you, team number 1. Team number 2.
Our administration is focused on implementing practical solutions to these major problems that we have. How about, remember what I talked about revitalizing Lower Base? How about we use one of those warehouses or a couple of those warehouses to give back to our NMDs who could be entrepreneurs? How about they establish within themselves cabinet making and furniture making so that then we can export or supply the local economy within our own so we don't have to import those things. That is just one example, but there's many other examples to do that. GDP is based, the gross domestic product is based on exportation and importation. We have been importing more than we have been exporting. There's no doubt about that. We know that that is happening. That is the reason why prices go up. We just have to find self-sufficiency, creative solutions within our own. We have talented individuals. How about we make NMC charged to making sure that the businesses that are there, the entrepreneurs that are there are successfully doing it right? How about we make CEDA become part of that development so that they're part of the solution at the table?
One of the other areas we need to look at is whether the Jones Act is really benefiting us. We are exempted, but the truth of the matter is when those commodities move from the United States shores and they move on to Hawaii, they move on to Guam, then they come to the CNMI, we will be paying out so much money just to bring in those commodities. The other thing is we need to make sure that when they're leasing public lands, local producers must provide those kind of goods to those people that are leasing public lands.
Thank you. Thank you, team number 2. Team number 3.
Thank you. Under our administration, we look at building up baby businesses, building opportunities for entrepreneurship. We talked about legislation earlier. We have a public law right now, Public Law 20-89, which is the CNMI product seal. Under this administration, we plan on pushing legislation and implementing it to their full extent. The CNMI product seal protects our market distinction and also expands our export potential. Push for businesses to be registered under the DoD portal so they can have all the opportunities to take advantage of the military activities happening here in the CNMI. Diversify tourism. Look into educational tourism because that will have a domino effect. When we have more students here, families will come here and benefit. We talk about the cost of living. We will look into incentives to hire local, pay local. Private employees fill in the gap by transitioning government workers into the private industry. Thank you.
Thank you, team 3. Okay, we're going to go to our last question for this section as a prelude to the exciting debate section after the break. Okay. I know you guys want to go all night. All right, here we go. Last question for this section. Leveraging the CNMI's submerged lands and marine resources to create lasting benefit for NMDs. The CNMI has jurisdiction over submerged lands extending 3 geographical miles from the coastline. Do you believe that submerged lands are public lands, which must be managed on behalf of the NMDs? If so, what concrete and practical initiatives would your administration pursue to responsibly leverage those submerged lands and marine resources for the economic, cultural benefit of NMDs while protecting those resources for future generations? If not, why do you think this part of public lands are not part of the inheritance of NMDs? We'll start with team number 2.
I'll start off and then I'll hand off the mic to my running mate. I'm glad this is the last question, but to answer your question, I'm talking fast because we only have like 90 seconds to answer to respond. But how about we utilize what I've seen somewhere else called the University of Guam when they made the marine laboratory become a research center of gravity for a lot of the folks that don't know much about our environment. How about we use those submerged lands for that purpose, where we could use it to study more and then open it up to the rest of the world for them to come and learn more about this. We would beat the Marine Lab at University of Guam one day when we do that.
You know, it's quite obvious that you mentioned earlier about the 3-mile zone, and that's within our jurisdiction. Anything outside of that falls under the United States government. Now, everybody knows that as we speak today, there's a lot of mining activities or interest to mine the ocean bed. In the interest of national security, that is the reason why the United States government is going after the minerals on the seafloor. How do we leverage that? We leverage it based on national security interests. We have the military buildup going on in Tinian right now. The United States will never go away on their interest of the Mariana Island chain. Why? Because we are so close to North Korea, we are so close to China, we're also looking at Russia. They will never leave us because under the Constitution, that's the unilateral power of the United States on national security. We definitely can leverage what is happening down there, what we have down there on the seabed, even though it's not part of our jurisdiction, but national security is an interest of the United States government. We can leverage that.
Okay. Team number 3.
Thank you for the question. We're hopeful that it's within the 3 miles, first and foremost, so that we actually own the minerals. Submerged lands belongs to the Sinai government. Unfortunately, it's under the Department of Lands and Natural Resources based on a previous public law that was created. Departments of Public Lands was under the Department of Lands and Natural Resources. When they separated that, they kept the submerged lands portion under DLNR. And with the opportunities that monies that we can get potentially, as previously mentioned, in the mineral rights, we are hopeful it's within the 3 miles, but we want to make sure that it protects the waters if they do touch those minerals. Outside of the 3 miles, it's almost like just formality that they ask us here in the Sinai or our brothers and sisters in American Samoa whether this should be something good for the people or this is a good investment for the people of Samoa or the people of the Sinai. That's when we can leverage, like what former Senate President said, the Department of War. We need to make sure that we take advantage of our strategic location and make sure that they pay for these things. They build infrastructure here for the people of the Sinai, and they make sure that our healthcare, our public safety, our infrastructure, utilities is secured and strong moving forward.
Okay, thank you, Team 3. You have the last word, Team 1.
Just like our amazing Congresswoman Kimberly King Hines said, the train has left the station. The ship has sailed. The federal government will tap into those waters, whether we like it or not. Our job is to leverage the covenant, use the 902 talks to bring our concerns to DC and see how we can work with them and still work a business, a blue economy. In that way, we can continue to generate revenue, create jobs, create opportunities. But the federal government will come. 3 miles or not, we need to make sure, just like I said in my opening statement, we will protect our land. That includes our water. And we need to grow our economy. And we will not compromise one for the other.
One successful business is Sea Touch out of right behind Crown Royal or Crown Plaza. That's a business that's within 3 miles. So one thing that we're going to push is aquaculture, Sea Touch, and of course with Kim's bill giving the Sinai 50% of the interest, that is a federal issue. But if we go into 902 talk, again, my administration had the only 2 successful 902 talk that ever been furnished to U.S. Congress. We will leverage my relationship with federal partners. We will have a seat on that table, and we will demand what is right for us, for our NMD. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Team number 1. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this portion. So we'll take a 10-minute break. Okay, we're going to begin now. This part of the forum has been labeled a debate, and what it is there's 3 issues that will be raised, and each team will have a chance to give a response of 2 minutes, and then each team will have a chance to respond to what the other teams are saying. So hopefully there's some good exchange and relevant exchange. So I hope the teams understand the format. So I'm going to read the topic. Each team has 2 minutes to respond to the topic, and then each team have 60 seconds to respond to whatever you've heard. If someone raised something from the other side, and then you'll have 60 seconds to make that response. And then subsequent to that, if you still have energy, you get another 30 seconds, all right? So in actual time, This will be approximately.
Actually, when you ask the question, the first candidate gets to answer for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And then rebuttal, and then 30 seconds goes back to the original person.
Okay, all right. Okay. I stand corrected. Okay. So the system is whoever the first team will get a chance for 2 minutes. Then each subsequent, the teams 2 and 3 get a chance for 60 seconds to respond to what they've heard. And then the final part is team 1 gets 30 seconds. Then we'll do the same for the next topic, starting with team 2. Okay? Thank you. And very good answers, very knowledgeable. Makes me wish I was an NMD. But somebody had to adopt me. But I guess that's already passed too. Huh? They changed the law on that. Okay. So this is a general question. You know, a lot of you talked about the founding fathers of the Commonwealth. You know, this is about 50 years now since the Commonwealth has been instituted. The leaders of the CNMI created a Commonwealth that uniquely balanced support for the NMDs, the indigenous people of these islands, within an American constitutional framework based on equal protection and applicability of the law. That's really a kind of difficult and a unique challenge that's available to the CNMI that is not available to other jurisdictions. It has been 50 years since the creation of the Commonwealth of the Northern Marianas, a unique government different from other territories and given special authority and responsibility over NMDs. We normally think that differences of opinion between the federal government and the CNMI government and how this is supposed to work is based on challenges to local authority by federal officials. But what about CNMI residents, and especially NMDs? Do you think that there is sufficient understanding and support of this unique covenant? And how would your administration strengthen the understanding of this unique Commonwealth, not just in Washington, D.C., but here as well?
Our covenant is unique, and you're right, Dr. Underwood. This covenant is a contract. It is not just a contract in general. It is our political and economic agreement that we will work together, that we will stand side by side. But when we ask as NMDs that we need more self-government, then we as NMDs need to reassure the federal government that we can definitely take care of ourselves. We need to show that we have the ability for self-governance, good governance, transparency, the ability to serve our people effectively, growing our economy, building our workforce, and making sure that we are using our MPLT to its fullest potential. However, today it's tough. It's difficult because, again, our economy is down. So we need to understand that when we ask for self-governance and we mimic the way the government is functioning in the United States, that we understand how to protect the rights that we're trying to enforce.
And this is where 902 talk is effective. The only two, again, I will remind everyone, the only two successful 902 talk is under my administration. We had to let Washington, D.C. understand we are different. We have a covenant, we have an agreement to treat us and give us the opportunity to be self-sufficient. The other one I would like to put out is I've given 400, almost 400 homesteads. That is acknowledging that we are different and we're gonna give opportunity for our locals. And in fact, there's more than 1,000 that's waiting, from agriculture to homestead. We're putting out more than almost 100 homesteads in Pagan. No other governor has ever put effort into that. Imagine expanding our NMD, the opportunity to the Northern Island. Thank you.
Thank you.
And so this is the debate period, right? So gentlemen, I hope that when you respond to that question, you think about the essence of why the covenant was created, because the question talks about the covenant and then becoming a constitution that we're so unique to all the other territories and states. This is a wonderful thing. And I look back to what the covenant, Section 805 says of our covenant. It says, blah, 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 but then the right information says, in view of the importance of the ownership of land for the culture and traditions of the people of the Northern Mariana Islands, and in order to protect them against exploitation and to promote their economic advancement and self-sufficiency. That, if we get that clear, it really aligns with our Constitution, and everything in our Constitution protects that essence. That relationship that we have with the United States is special, and we appreciate that. And by the way, we are American citizens, so we need to. But talking about the fact that, I forgot I only had 60 seconds. I was wanting to.
No, that's good. Team 3.
That's a loaded question, but first and foremost, we need to go back to our educational institutions here in the CNMI. When we were children, the covenant was taught all the way up down at the elementary level. We need to make sure that that 50-year-old living document continues to educate our children, Northern Marianas descent or not. They need to be educated so that they know where we came from, how we got here, in order for us to thrive economically. And former Governor Torres has mentioned about the 902s. He's absolutely right. There's too many decisions made in Washington, D.C. that affects the people of the CNMI, not just the territories. And the United States need to recognize that we are not a territory. We are a true commonwealth, and that we need to educate our people so we don't continue to call ourselves territories, because we are a commonwealth. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Each team gets 30 seconds. So each team gets 30 seconds now. Go ahead.
Yes, we are a commonwealth, and we must be very proud of that. And we need to protect what the covenant is all about. But at the end of the day, we also have to understand that the covenant created a self-government commonwealth in political union with the United States. So we need to remember, we need to protect what that covenant promised, our land and our land to our people.
So although this is special that I mentioned earlier between that relationship of the United States and us here in the Commonwealth, one thing we need to worry about is how then do we educate the folks right in the schools. So what we've done in public school system is we have Northern Marianas history, but we're also incorporating a new textbook called the CNMI Civics and CNMI Government textbook. We've started that because why would we be learning about New York when we should be learning about the value of that essence of that relationship that we have, right? And students need to know that.
Thank you. Lastly, Team 3.
Thank you. I just want to re-emphasize again the importance of learning about the covenant and the Constitution at a very young age. So our future leaders and even our present leaders can learn the history of where we came from and where we're going. Maximize on the agreement. This is not just about asking for a handout, but asking for what's fair as a true commonwealth. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, the next debate item, we'll start with Team 2. Protecting the CNMI's right to self-government under the covenant. Our political union with the United States was founded on negotiated principles of self-government established through the covenant. In light of increased federal authority over such areas as labor, immigration, maritime boundaries, do you believe that the CNMI's right to self-government is adequately respected? Why or why not? Beyond the Section 902 consultation process, what specific legal, political, or intergovernmental strategies would your administration pursue to assert, protect, and strengthen the Commonwealth's right to self-government?
That is very special. We need to leverage off of that, and I know that my running mate has sat at the table for 902 talks, She is all about that. So we're going to fix that, number one. So our administration would veer back. And I'm going to say at the end of this, we will be strong at the table when we're dealing with the federal partners. We will let this leverage off of this negotiation that we've had in the past. And when we negotiate further, we will take, now when it comes to the labor and immigration, unfortunately that was taken away from us. Why? Because we failed. We were just a very young government. Here we are, we've learned so much. Never again should we fail at that type of, so when we do negotiate, we should go back to the table and see what we can do. The federal government did that so that we can start off economically. Well, we've matured enough and we've learned a lot.
You know, this is very interesting because in our covenant provision, there are two provisions that are unilateral control of the United States government. That is, one is labor and immigration, which they took over. The other one is national security. They have unilateral power over that. But self-government must be continuously discussed at the table with the federal government. We talk about achieving the economic dreams of the American political family. What is that? We need to define that. What does that mean to us, living the American dream? Our people today, as we speak, do not even have a retirement program that they could retire on. We need to make sure that the United States government understands that we need to have a strong economy through their support so that we can have sustainability and resiliency so that our people can survive. Regardless of how the world is turning, we need to make sure that we achieve this economic benefit. For example, in fishing, America is the biggest consumer of tuna. We have given up our quota on fishing. We need to get back to the table and take that back. If all of these other vessels are fishing the waters of the Pacific Ocean, why can't we benefit from that quota as well? We need to make sure that we get that. Again, seabed mining, we need to also harvest that.
Okay, thank you, team number 2. Team number 3, team number 1, you each get 1 minute.
The greatest thing about the Commonwealth today is we have our own constitution. Unlike, sorry, Dr. Underwood, unlike you don't have your own constitution, but we have our own constitution and we need to take advantage of it. Yes, we do have 902s, we have the covenant, but we have the constitution that protects us as well for the people of the Sinai. The United States need us to grow. They need our resources here for national security. They will be coming to the table asking for an extension on land leases for the island of Tinan for the divert airfield or even for Rhoda and Saipan. We have a constitution that states that there's only limited time. They should understand that they need to invest in us, give us some flexibility so that our businesses here in the Sinai can grow and protect our national security in regards to economic activities here in the Sinai. Thank you.
Thank you, group team 3, team 1.
In regards to our 902 talks, to add on to that is I would like to refer and redirect to our amazing Congresswoman Kimberly King Hines and what she has done to pass HR 9787, which will protect and extend our CW program for the next 10, 20 years, making sure that we have a steady workforce. And this kind of negotiation is the negotiation that we need to continue to promote. This will help stabilize our workforce. And when our workforce is stabilized and we invite tourists to come to our home, we are ready to receive them. And when we are ready to receive them, we have happier tourists. And when tourists are happy, we make repeated customers, returning customers. And the generation of our revenue will continue to grow. And this is the reason why we need to make sure that when we do our 902 talks, we bring up concerns that are still going to protect our people, our land, and our Commonwealth.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have 30 seconds. I revert back to the folks to my right and to my left. What in the world happened? This covenant has been around since 1975, and here we are, we're still struggling. We're still talking about how we're going to do it. My administration is going to be new, and we're going to be talking about how we would do it right this time. Go back to the importance. The culture and traditions of these people in the Northern Marianas is very important to the United States. They want us to make sure we're protected, that we are not exploited, and that we can be provided the economic advancement and self-sufficiency.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lawrence. That was the issue with 902. They never really include the legislative branch. That's why we introduced legislation to make sure that members of the legislature, whether it's the Senate President, the Speaker of the House, or their designees, are present in these meetings. Why? Because we also need to work on legislations on our end to protect our people and have a stronger voice in U.S. Congress. Thank you.
30 seconds.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because on our 902 successful, we're able to go in there. There's 902 talk now. I'm not sure what's the status, but the two-prong approach is the hardworking Kimberly King Hines is working on this issue with labor. And so our relationship with my partner going to 902 talk, we have been there. We know the ropes. We know what to do and what to say. More importantly, intigua hafa tamumumuzi para totota.
Okay. All right, the last item in this very exciting exchange. Okay. Creating opportunities, and this is a Pacific-wide issue, so it's not just unique to the CNMI. Creating opportunities for young NMDs to build their futures in the Northern Marianas Islands. Many young NMDs leave the Commonwealth for higher ed, employment, or better economic opportunities, and too many find it difficult to return to establish careers, businesses, and families in their home islands. What specific policies would your administration implement to retain young NMDs, encourage those living abroad to return home, and create meaningful pathways to careers, entrepreneurship, home ownership, and leadership so that the next generation can build its future here in the Marianas? Team 3.
We need to invest right here in the CNMI. Example, in regards to marketing, we spend a lot of money going outside of the CNMI to trade shows. It's not a bad thing, but we have a lot of creative minds here in the CNMI. We have the Northern Marianas College. Why pay for people outside the CNMI hundreds of thousands of dollars to be able to promote the CNMI or give us an identity when NMC can be paid right here, invest the money right here, and give the opportunity to our people? We also would need to help our people, our young children, get the opportunity to get that further education. Dr. Underwood, you were the president of Bank of Guam, and one of the proudest moments for a lot of employees that are in executive levels on the island of Guam is they said, I graduated from UOG. We need to make sure that the businesses here in the CNMI invest as well into NMC so that they can provide the manpower to these businesses here in the CNMI. Yes, we do have challenges, but together we can get things done. The government needs to make sure that they invest. With the Pell Grants under our administration, there's approximately $7,000 per student that will be avail to Pell Grants, and we will get those monies directly to these students to fill jobs that are of high priority and give leverage for transition into the private sector from the government sector and give the next generation opportunities to be able to get into the work service, the educational institutions, and be homeowners here in the CNMI. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Team 3. Team 1, you get a minute. Team 2, you get a minute. Team 1?
There is a big crack. There's a big hole in this ship, and this ship is sinking. We need to plug it up. We need to fix it up. And that's the reason why our people are leaving. Opportunities, there are no opportunities here. So we need to make sure that we market. We do want to create incentive programs. We need to work with NMC, NMTech, and other educational institutions that will attract our people not only to stay, but to come back. Let's work with this institution so that when they come back, we can work with them to transition into a job that will match what they could have made out there. but we also need to work with NMC and NMTech and other institutions that our degrees, our college degrees, our majors are actually tailored to the jobs, the high job skill sets that are available or will be available in the NMI. Thank you.
I'll wait for that. My friend, why is the ship sinking? Let's not make it sink anymore. We're left to now feel the crack, right? Let's make things simplified. Remember my revitalization of Lower Base again? Why don't we create those opportunities so that the diaspora can be attracted? They're out there in California and all over the United States having their own businesses. They're running their own businesses. How they wish to one day come here and actually do their business because this is their home. They want to be here.
We need to promote and support the dreams of our people in jump-starting their local businesses. There's so much infusion of capital, like SSBCI 2.0 money of more than $50 million that we can infuse into the local economy by promoting our people to jumpstart their businesses. We do not need to continue to promote public sector employment. We need to promote self-employment. Our people can do this and then move on into financial literacy and start investing in the stock market.
All right, each team gets 30 seconds. Team 3.
Thank you, Principal Jones, for saying that the ship is sinking. It is absolutely sinking because of mismanagement of funds. Let's be honest, those audit reports are not fake. They came out and we paid for those audit reports. As a matter of fact, with all due respect, Governor Torres was still the governor when Ernst & Young took over Deloitte & Touche. And if we're gonna challenge an auditing firm that provides audits for people across the world here in the CNMI, I question that a whole lot.
Well, you have an audit report that even Ernst & Young did not sign. So if you look at all the issues before that, if an Ernst & Young is not able to sign it, we have my report, you can read it. But at the end of the day, here we are talking about, this is our plan. We have budget, pogo. Esta 3 años, 4 años malofan. Dagin magan education mungi sa lapi para education. Pes basta masangan po education, educate dagin tagi sa lapi no nanay siya famagota.
Team 2.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that I had 30 more seconds to go. But by the way, I didn't know you worked for the Bank of Guam. Were you the president? I know you weren't, right? But thank you for talking about education, because I sat as Commissioner of Education. When we asked for a budget of 49 and we're given 28, that's a problem. I don't know what it's going to be like from here on out. It's going to be even worse. So we're going to make sure we fix that. Oh, you work for Bank of Guam?
I did work for Bank of Guam. I was wondering why I did not see you. Anyways, simple. We need to make sure that our economy is strong.
Okay. All right, thank you. Well, just when it was getting interesting, we now have come to the end, and now we're ready for closing statements. I want to add that there were people who approached me from the audience who said they wish that they could have asked some questions. Just out of respect for them, they raised the issue about the Japanese government dumping nuclear waste in the northern reaches of the Northern Marianas. Also raised the issue of the alleged radiation which might have occurred here from Marshall Islands testing. So I only do that out of regard to this gentleman. But now we're going to listen to the closing statements. Each team will have 3 minutes to make their closing statement, and I ask that the audience remain silent until all 3 are done. And so we'll start off with team number 1, Taurus Jones.
50 years ago, through the covenant agreement, our forefathers entrusted us the land for Northern Marianas descent, to build a life and to continue to call CNMI home. As a former governor and a proud NMD myself, it has been my obligation to uphold the Constitution and vision of our forefathers for NMDs today and the future generations. Ufabot mo nga man malefa, And please don't forget, when I was the governor, we stopped the military from bombing Pagan. Please don't forget, when I was the governor, we had the highest number of NMD employed here in the Marianas. Por favor, lokwe, mga man malafa, na doko administrasyon no, kumon ni tati tau-tauta gilisan lago, sa guaha oportunidad ginigi Marianas. My administration gave out more than 400 homesteads. We are ready to give out over thousands more. All the current administration had to do was give it out to the people, but it has not been distributed. This is what our priority will be. I have supported the people who have cultivated our land, our farmers, our ranchers, and our fishermen. We have supported culture, language initiatives to Canoe House, the Garapan Farmers Market, musicians, dancers, carvers, weavers, all stewards of our culture. I have secured a $12 million grant for Cultural Center so that our NMD and our tourists can experience and see the wonderful Chamorro and Refaluas culture here in our Sinamay. Lots of opportunities have lost, but when we get in, we will continue to push for that. Maniluzan Manyanao, Mafanyogon Saipanzo. Janyung manuzo pa San Lago, Faisi Sinanao, sa tataw, I want to be Americanized. Nyalayo na ba ni Doso sa Chamorro? Jamasya mono, gitano, Chamorro. I came back here, and tutun kay Padgun, uwatan ni Padgun sa leko. Hafa sinya bitsogwi. La tadza mas gagwan gitano, i-requedo gilin na nomen tatamu, i-lingwahi, janizo mo tradition. Eno na lingwahi, maulumi gwinaiza, jani respeto. Hami na kandidato, go janizo ko partner si Benjamin Jones. We don't just live it, we teach it. Todo fa magono, kung todo guiza, tumalalaza sa nilay niya. Hami na kandidato, agas proven record na improtehi hamzo, vota hami por favor, gi numero 2, gi baloto. Vote Republican, sa hami na partida, para hamzo ni publiko. Thank you, dan si Jesus Masi, on behalf of si Ben, un guayz hamzo todo, buenas noches.
Okay, you can give him a round of applause. Okay, team 2.
Okay, so digwi tanu dos quantos años humonozo kana 21, 22, kana 30 años o digwi tanota za o deseja na giguna ubira zo tati mauli ki oportunidad loli na nos put gol para itautauta bula pinadesi dan bula asunto nisita ta rekla. So maniluzan manyanahu Gwajan sirif bay na siguro na baynayam zo todo ni Farsan Mami za bay na dinansi mo na direksyon ni Tanota. I direksyon ni Tanu mas importante za masya hafa masusedi mo na sempre i rekwento ni Patanoy fa magonta mas za hululo. I mas mauling na irensya para i tautauta i para ta respeta i Tanu za para ta protehi i Tanu za tanasiguro na timan mafahanit ni tautau hidzong. Si Edith Zango bay na siguro naman medguri kilamasa zang iman matautsungam zang matautsung itodo zang federat ben na siguro naman medguri kilamasa zang iman matautsung ni todo jisya na influensya ginin hidzong ni malago man business gini todo ino siya ending tanasig ben na siguro na mo na ifineni na iasuntun tono zani linalay tauto mas importante enigi i priority enigi bin na za hululo gizumami platform zata arekla sa zang kita arekla no ta arekla ekonomiya maulik linala tauto tano za sen maulik i beneficio na tanaserbi tauto i tanota para minaulik i tauto.
Magwento sit pago na poengi por artikulo 11 zan artikulo 12 gizota constitution. Todo sila kumomprende na beneficio ni join ni Tano, ni fenka si Tano, izo ni Toto Marianas. Preciso na dahis tigi na fenkas ni Guinaha. Tiguinifis tigi na para estigi na klaseng costas para beneficio itautauta Toto Marianas si NMD. Tiguinifi na diniseya na para maulik linala tautauta sa basta di fangagi galo may poverty or pinebli. Toda rason na po sige po fan masopi ni tau-tauta na tisinya man lola ifa magunia, tisinya magwifi na po fanono para Amerika, tisinya mafahan kareta, tisinya maaksay gima, hafa na rason na tisinya tatso gunigi ane guaha fenkas, guaha kosas niya ni tano, edzigi na salapigin ni edzigi na tano, diretso para NMD, hamzo ni Toto Marianas, idon mizo nigi, hamizan si Lawrence, binasigura hamzo na protehi hamzo, binasigura hamzo na isi na beneficio o fatto giza hamzo. Hamzo ni Toto Marianas, debe din fan magov, din fan lola, do molik mola din alamizo, din fan magun mizo. Pago, din para todo futuro na generasyon, si Diyos Masi.
Okay, team number 3.
Thank you. First and foremost, we would like to thank the NMDC for the opportunity to speak with you, to talk to you. I would also like to thank our fellow candidates up here on the stage for participating this evening. Democracy is strongest when the people are informed, engaged, and are listened to. So I'd like to thank you, the audience, the viewers, for being a part of this event this evening. And I encourage participation and active citizenry that you all attend events like this so that you are all informed and engaged. We hope that you all learn and understand our position on the issues that were brought up this evening. We love and respect, and we are also a voice for the NMDs and all who call the CNMI home. We are a voice for all, a transparent voice, a fundamental voice, a responsible voice, and a decisive voice. I am Edmund Joseph Sablan Villagomez, and I'm a candidate for Lieutenant Governor. I'm running with my good friend, my colleague, my candidate for governor, Blas Jonathan Tenorio Atao. And we are #1 on the ballot, and we are seeking your vote of confidence. Sidus Masi, Kiliso, thank you.
That's this. Hasta Manatan. Okay, well, thank you very much. Okay, that concludes this evening's event. I want to thank you for allowing me the privilege of hearing this. I think, just as an observation, you have some really excellent candidates up there. You have people who really are thoughtful and who are knowledgeable. And we can see that in the concluding statements, we can see that they have a heart for this Commonwealth. So thank you for the opportunity to bear witness to this. Thank you for the organization, Northern Marianas Descent Corporation. They deserve a round of applause. Having been through lots of debates myself, there's always a zillion rumors about every debate. Someone's getting you the questions. Here's the question, here's that, here's the answer. And there's always a lot of background noise. But I can tell you, I'm very proud of this group of candidates, and I'm very proud to have been associated with this. Donkluna situs masi, sinya bealog manyay luz and manyay nahu, logo fanang guama samko pues todas ta saina pa be. Lo, in fin, donkluna situs masi, dan puede maulik hinanaw mo muna.
Hi everyone, before we conclude this evening, on behalf of the Northern Marianas Corporation, I would like to extend our sincere appreciation to everyone who helped make tonight's Gubernatorial Forum and debate possible. We especially recognize and thank our sponsors and partners and supporters. Marianas High School, JROTC, Dolphin Battalion, 500 Cells, Fritz Pacific, Saipan Stevedore Company, Northern Marianas Humanities Council, and Marianas Visuals. We also extend our sincere appreciation to our moderator, Dr. Robert A. Underwood, our gubernatorial team's guests, NMDC members, volunteers, and everyone who worked behind the scenes to make tonight's event possible. Most importantly, thank you to everyone who joined us this evening and took a part in this important civic conversation about the issues affecting our people and the future of the Commonwealth. This concludes tonight's Northern Marianas Dissent Corporation's Gubernatorial Forum and Debate. Please stand for the JROTC. Sorry. Thank you for being here with us. Have a safe journey home and good evening.